Hello and welcome to An Idol Call Food. I'm your host, JT Tapias, and in today's episode, we're going to be speaking about the power of words over our actions. But before I go there, I want to speak with you about EYBPlanfuel.com, supplements that allow you to show up as the best version of yourself. Go to EYBPlanfuel.com, start your journey today. You're going to notice a massive difference and you're going to not only feel better, but you're going to perform better. All right, without further ado, let's jump right into it. The power of words over our actions. A powerful agent is the right word. Whenever we come upon an intensely right word, the resulting effect is physical, spiritual, and electrically timing. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Our words have the ability to build up or break down a person, or even worse, simply throw us completely off track. I always say that if most of us spoke to others the way we speak to ourselves sometimes, we would have no friends left over. You know what I'm talking about? We have this tendency to speak to ourselves sometimes in a very detrimental way. That internal dialogue really breaks us down. So it's important to understand that most of our language is unconscious, yet it's responsible for 100% of the things that happen to us on a daily basis. I want you to think of Scripture and what God has said inside of His Word. In John chapter 1, verse 1, He says, "In the beginning was the Word." Psalms 33:9, "For He spoke, and it came to be. He commanded, and it stood firm." Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, "And God said, let there be light, and there was light." Psalms 147:15 says, "He sends out His command to the earth. His word runs swiftly." Proverbs 18:21, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those that love it will eat its fruits." I absolutely love that last scripture because I truly subscribe to this idea in my heart of hearts. Words work in our brain. They have an effect on our brain that is so incredibly powerful. And it's crazy to think that we're not consciously paying attention to these things because we're communal learners. We learn from each other. We learn different things that are said through culture, through music, through television. And these things are operating in our subconscious brain. And interestingly enough, it controls most of our actions. Words are powerful because they control our thoughts. And in turn, they create feelings, and those feelings ultimately turn into actions. Words have been used to build up, right? To encourage people, to send people into war, to liberate people from slavery, to defeat tyrants. But words can be equally destructive. Our words send our brain a clear direction, a clear path that we should go, right? It tells our brain where we should go. Our language is composed of our belief systems, the things that are so true to us. What we say is who we are. And so I want you to think about this. In your fitness journey, there's possibly two scenarios, right? You go in front of a mirror, you've been doing this program for 30, 60 days, and you look in the mirror and you don't see any difference. And in your mind, you start to say things that break you down. I'm too fat. This always happens to me. I never lose weight. Why would I lose weight this time? And guess what? Right after you walk away from that mirror, the actions that follow are based around the language that you have. This is how important it is to think about language, because the only way we can change our thinking, which by the way is where everything flows from, is through the way we speak to ourselves. We speak to ourselves more than anyone else. There are statistics out there that say that we speak to ourselves more than 70,000 words a day. And most of those words are protective. In other words, the brain is a preservation mechanism. It's always trying to keep us alive, so it always gives us the worst possible scenario. And so we start to think in terms that sound very negative because that brain is always protecting us. So what I'm calling you to do here, what I'm encouraging you to do, is actually to reverse the process of thinking negatively through our internal dialogue. People tell you all the time, you need to change the way you think, but they never tell you how. Well, the how is through the language. Right? This is what makes us very, very different as human beings, is that we have the ability to control our language and to communicate with ourselves and with others. I'm not saying animals don't have that same capability, but they don't have the complexity that we have in language. And so with this idea of changing our language and being able to, through that language, command our thought process, we give way to powerful emotions. We are emotion-based human beings. I've once heard that
The fast track to the brain are the emotions. So when we speak different, we think different. When we think different, we feel different. When we feel different, we act different. If those actions are positive, what ends up happening is we build good habits. If we continue on with those good habits, in other words, if there's consistency, what then happens is we create a successful character. These things do not happen by default. These things are not taught in school. Once again, language is mostly taught in a communal way. We learned it from each other. We hear more negative things than positive things. It's actually interesting when you hear someone that has positive affirmations or that is consistently affirming others. You know that that's a person that's actually taking the time to consider their speech and how their speech can affect them and others. They've made a practice of affirming others, because if they affirm others, then guess what? Most naturally, they're going to start to affirm them. And the more you do that, the more you can change your thinking, your emotions, your actions, your habits, and your character. I know I've said this plenty of times, but with repetition, hopefully comes mastery. And more importantly, you can bring these things to the forefront when needed. There are so many ways, guys, to change how we show up in life. But I can tell you right now that the fundamental thing that needs to change is our internal language. So I want to give you just some quick tidbits here that I think can start helping you think in the right direction. You want to take a piece of paper, right? You want to take a piece of paper, and in terms of weight loss, in terms of your health, in terms of lifestyle, I want you to write down how you view yourself, how what are your tendencies when you get frustrated. You've been on a diet for 30, 60, or 90 days, and for some reason, from your perspective, you're not making any progress. What do you say to yourself, right? Write that down on the left column. On the right column, I want you to replace those negative, disempowering things that you're saying to yourself with positive things. I can tell you that every other day, about 3 days a week, I do slow burn cardio on my treadmill. It's early in the morning, and I do what I call active prayer. So I get on my treadmill and I start to pray. But I also start to encourage myself. And I start to say things to myself that build me up. That's not natural. It doesn't feel good sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to do it. But because I understand the power of it, and I don't know what's going to come of the day. I don't know who I'm going to encounter. I don't know what situations I'm going to face. What I want to do is I want to prime myself, right? And I want to get started on the right foot so that when I go out there, I'm ready for whatever comes at me. That starts with my language. So I want to intentionally make sure that I'm putting the right information in my brain so that I'm thinking the right thoughts, feeling the right feelings, and acting on the right actions. Okay, I've said that enough. I want to leave you with that. Do the homework, put these things into action. Let me know in the comments down below if this resonates with you. And if you are a trained personal speaker, in other words, you have trained yourself for positive outcomes, I'd love to hear more about it. Leave some comments down below. If we're not friends yet and you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so that we can stay connected. In this podcast, we speak about things that edify the mind, the body, and the spirit. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. More importantly, I hope you put it into action. Remember, clarity is power. That's what they say, but I only think it's potential power. True power is the ability to take action. So move forward, take action, and I promise you on the other side, you're going to be happy, fulfilled, and very successful. My name is JT Tapias with an idol called food. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao.